The night drifts gently over Bikini Bottom as if the entire ocean has decided to exhale and soften itself into quiet. The bustling sounds of the day have long faded away. No more hurried footsteps of customers racing into the Krusty Krab. No more chattering voices drifting through the marketplace. No more laughter from the jellyfishing fields or splashes from the lagoon. All those things now belong to the day, and the day has passed. In its place comes the night. The sky above, though blurred by the ocean's surface, glimmers faintly with distant stars. Their light reaches down through the water, bending and shimmering as if each star is whispering to the sea. The glow lands softly on the sand streets of Bikini Bottom, painting them in pale blues and silvery hues. Every corner of the town feels slower now. The coral houses stand quietly in their places, their colors dulled in the moonlit water. The stone paths that weave between them are empty. Only the gentle sway of seaweed breaks the stillness, each strand rocking lazily with the current like tall grass moved by a sleepy breeze. The Krusty Krab, once alive with clattering trays and the sound of sizzling grills, now rests in silence. Its front sign, shaped like a great ship's mast, flickers one last time before dimming. The restaurant sighs into stillness, the golden smell of Krabby Patties fading slowly from memory until morning. Even the door seems to rest, leaning slightly inward as though it too is tired. Nearby, the Chum Bucket stands in shadow. Plankton's restaurant is always quiet, but in the hush of night, it appears even lonelier. The neon sign is dark, its mechanical eye closed like a child gone to sleep. Inside, the machines that normally hum with invention are silent. The clinking of gears and sputtering of pipes, all paused until the day returns. The tree dome of Sandy Cheeks glows faintly under the moonlight, its glassy dome reflecting soft ripples of light. The oak tree inside stands tall and unmoving, its branches stretching upward like arms reaching for the stars. Within, Sandy leaves peacefully in her small wooden cabin, unaware of the world beyond her glass walls. Around the tree dome, the sand lies untouched, smooth as if wrapped in a blanket. Even the jellyfish fields are calm tonight. The bright, playful creatures have tucked themselves into clusters, their bodies glowing only faintly, pulsing slowly like lanterns breathing in unison. They drift closer together, a community of light floating in harmony. The fields, usually buzzing with movement, now resemble a dream, a painting of stillness that hangs beneath the sea. The lagoon, too, is quiet. Where children once splashed and played in the afternoon sun, the waters now lie heavy and unmoving. A single bubble rises, then disappears, leaving behind nothing but calm. The lifeguard tower is empty, its chair tilted forward ever so slightly in the current. It creaks faintly, then rests still, blending into the rhythm of the sea's breathing. And in the heart of Bikini Bottom, the streets stretch wide and empty. Not a soul moves across them. The lamps, shaped like shells, cast their glow in small circular pools of light, marking the sand below with gentle halos. Between each lamp lies a darkness soft enough to comfort, not enough to frighten. Shadows of coral, rock, and seaweed move slowly, leaning back and forth as if rocking themselves to sleep. The whole town feels like it has exhaled together. The noise of the day has vanished. The worries of the townsfolk have faded. All that remains is the quiet, and in that quiet rests a peace deeper than words. If one were to wander these streets now, they would hear almost nothing at all, just the faint hum of the water, the occasional drifting bubble rising, and the soft brushing of sand grains carried by the current. The silence is not empty. It is full of rest, of calm, of the kind of stillness that lets the heart slow down. It is in these quiet hours that Bikini Bottom feels most alive in another way, not with noise or movement, but with the gentle presence of rest. The houses are not just buildings now, they are safe havens where their inhabitants dream. The coral is not just decoration. It is a forest of shadows, bending slowly with the current. The streets are not empty. They are pathways for peace itself, winding across the sand like threads in a blanket. The stillness settles over every corner, wrapping Bikini Bottom in a comfort so steady, so deep, that even the smallest creatures join in the rest. Tiny clams burrow into the sand, shells clicking once before closing tight. Starfish cling quietly to rocks, their arms unmoving. A snail slides lazily across a stone, then pauses, curling into itself to sleep. Even the current moves slowly, as if it does not want to disturb the scene. And so the streets remain, hushed, calm, and waiting, a canvas painted in moonlight and shadows. The town does not need sound, it does not need motion, for the night has made its presence known. Here in the quiet streets of Bikini Bottom, peace has finally arrived. The longer the night lingers, the deeper the calm grows. The town of Bikini Bottom seems to sink into itself, each corner folding into quiet. The rhythm of the sea wraps around everything like a blanket, slow and steady, rocking all of life into a gentle sway. The windows of the homes shine faintly with dim lights left burning. Inside each one, stories of rest unfold. A curtain drifts slightly in the water, swaying with the faintest current, as if waving goodnight to the stars above. The faint orange glow of a lamp can be seen through another window, but no sound comes from within, just stillness. Near the edge of town, the coral cliffs stand tall, their ridges casting long shadows that stretch across the sand. During the day, fish and sea creatures dart around the rocks, but now the cliffs rest quietly, their surfaces calm and cool. Tiny shrimp tuck themselves into small crevices, and the occasional bubble rises from within, breaking the silence before disappearing again. The cliffs hum with their own kind of peace, ancient and steady, as though they have witnessed countless nights just like this. Above the town, the surface of the ocean glimmers with faint silver light. Though far away, it filters down through the water, falling like a soft rain of brightness, scattering gently across rooftops and paths. The light is not harsh, but delicate, so faint that it makes the shadows appear fuller and more comforting. It moves with the waves, making the town below look as though it is breathing, each shimmer a slow exhale of the sea. The marketplace, which by day bustles with chatter and trade, now sits in silence. Stalls that once overflowed with kelp snacks, seashell trinkets, and baskets of glowing fruit now stand deserted, their wares covered and waiting. Nets hang loose, swaying faintly in the water, and wooden beams creak gently as the current brushes past them. A faint echo drifts through the square, not of voices, but of memory, the kind of memory left behind after a day full of life, now replaced with silence. The square feels empty, yet not lonely. It feels restful, like a stage after the curtain is closed and the audience has gone home. Farther along, the lampposts cast their glow in careful arcs. The shells at their tops are faintly pearlescent, catching the dim light and scattering it in soft, rounded halos. Where one circle of light ends, another begins, overlapping faintly, creating a chain of safe little pools that mark the streets. Between them, the darkness is soft and deep, inviting any wandering soul to pause and breathe. If someone were to walk these streets, their footsteps would sound unusually loud against the sand. But no one walks tonight. The paths belong to the quiet. A gentle current passes through, stirring the sand into faint patterns. Grains of pale gold drift upward, twisting together before slowly sinking back down. The movement so quiet, so unhurried, that it seems less like motion and more like the ocean's sigh. A shell rolls faintly across the street, tumbling once before stopping near the base of a coral stem. It rests there, still and perfect, as though placed with intention. Even the smallest details hold a kind of serenity. The doors of homes are shut tight, their handles still. Signs above little shops creak only once before settling back into silence. A bubble escapes from the corner of a window, floating slowly upward until it bursts without a sound. Everywhere the town seems to whisper the same thing: rest, rest, rest. In the distance, the faint glow of the lighthouse can be seen, its beam sweeping slowly across the seabed. It is not as bright as it is during storms, but steady enough to remind the town that it is safe. The beam cuts across rooftops, touches the treetops of Sandy's dome, brushes the edges of Squidward's stone home, and then drifts away again. The light does not hurry. It takes its time, circling back again and again, a steady pulse in the heart of the night. The reef beyond the town is calm as well. The corals close their blooms for the night, folding in their colors and softening into muted tones. Tiny schools of fish gather together, forming silver clouds that drift slowly through the water before settling near safe nooks in the rocks. They move in unison, every fin swaying together as if rocked by the same dream. Closer to the sandy streets, a sea star clings quietly to a stone wall, its arms stretched still as if in deep sleep. Nearby, a crab scuttles across the sand, its shell catching a faint glimmer of moonlight. It pauses for a moment, then tucks itself between two rocks, curling into safety before closing its tiny eyes. Everywhere you look, life has softened. The day's energy has folded away, leaving the night to stretch its calm across every corner. The town is not empty, it is simply resting. The kind of rest that is shared where every creature, every building, and even the sea itself agrees to pause together. The ocean's hum is the only sound left, low and steady like a song too ancient to be remembered, but too familiar to be forgotten. It flows through the streets, across the rooftops, over the sand, filling every empty space with calm. It is not loud, nor is it sharp. It is a lullaby that carries on endlessly, meant not to be listened to, but to be felt. And so the quiet continues. The quiet of the streets, the quiet of the water, the quiet of the night itself. Here in Bikini Bottom, stillness has a shape, and tonight it covers everything. The night deepens, and with every passing moment, Bikini Bottom grows quieter still. It feels as though the ocean itself is holding its breath, allowing the town below to rest without interruption. The current slows to a crawl, soft as silk, and the water feels thick with drowsiness, as if the sea too is ready to drift into sleep. Along the outskirts of town, the kelp forest sways in long, lazy arcs. The tall stalks move together in rhythm, their leaves brushing one another in soft whispers. Small fish nestle among the leaves, using the shifting kelp as shelter. Their tiny eyes blink slowly, heavy with the weight of rest. From time to time, a flicker of bioluminescence sparks among the stalks, just a faint glow, enough to shimmer before fading again. It is the forest's way of breathing, of saying goodnight without words. The sandy roads leading back into town are empty, save for the occasional trail of bubbles left behind by some unseen creature. They rise and vanish quietly, disappearing into the stillness above. No cartwheels clatter, no footsteps echo, only the faintest vibration of the ocean's steady pulse fills the emptiness. The roads, wide and open, feel like long ribbons stretching through silence, waiting patiently for dawn. Near the center of town, a cluster of coral houses stand close together. Their colors, bright during the day, are now muted to soft blues, grays, and purples. Windows are dark, doors closed, curtains drawn, yet each house seems alive in its own way. One glows faintly from a candle left burning inside. Another hums faintly as a snail shifts in its sleep. A soft vibration comes from one roof as bubbles escape from a chimney, drifting upward in slow spirals before popping. The houses, like the creatures inside them, seem to exhale into the night, releasing every trace of the day's bustle. The town square is the quietest of all. What was once filled with voices, laughter, and the occasional playful argument is now an open space filled only with stillness. A fountain sits in the middle, carved from coral, shaped like a cluster of seashells. During the day, the water inside sparkles as it flows, splashing gently over the carved ridges. But tonight the fountain is silent, its streams shut off, its basin glowing faintly with the reflection of the moonlight filtering from above. The shells look as though they are sleeping too, their edges smooth and calm under the glow. Not far from the square, the library rests in silence. The tall, domed building is closed for the night, its doors sealed tight. But inside, rows upon rows of books rest quietly on their shelves. If you were to step close enough, you might almost imagine hearing the gentle rustle of their pages as they breathe together in the quiet. Knowledge sleeps too, waiting for the morning to be opened and read again. The library, so full of stories, is now part of the larger story of rest. Farther away, the lighthouse beam continues its slow sweep across the sea. Its glow is steady, patient, a heartbeat for the night. Each rotation of its light is like the passing of a moment, marking time without urgency. It touches the rooftops, the tree dome, the empty playground, and the sandy paths, reminding each corner of the town that it is watched over, even in sleep. The playground is empty now. Swings that swayed in laughter during the day hang still, their ropes drifting slightly in the current. The slide, worn smooth from use, rests unused, gleaming faintly under the moon's glow. A seesaw lies unmoving, balanced perfectly in the middle as if frozen in a dream. Even the sand of the play area looks undisturbed, its surface smooth and unbroken. The laughter of children seems to linger faintly, like a memory wrapped into the water. But tonight, it is quiet, stored safely for tomorrow. The ocean floor beyond the town glimmers with patches of glowing algae. By day, they are hardly noticed, but at night, they shine softly, like scattered lanterns on the seabed. Their light flickers in and out, gentle and slow, giving the impression of stars beneath the sea. The algae sway faintly with the current, releasing tiny particles that drift upward like sparks from a campfire. They rise quietly and until they vanish into the dark. Here and there, a jellyfish floats past. Its body pulses gently, glowing faintly as it drifts along the edge of town. It does not hurry. Each movement is unhurried, calm, as though it too knows the rhythm of the night. The glow it carries lights up small patches of sand before fading again into darkness. Watching it is like watching a dream float by, silent and untouchable. The entire scene feels like a painting. Still, calm, endless. Every detail is muted, softened by the deep quiet that covers everything. The town does not feel empty. It feels full of peace, as though every breath, every heartbeat, Every drifting bubble belongs to one great silence shared by all. Above, the faint outline of the surface shimmers with moonlight, bending and breaking as the water shifts. It feels far away, unreachable, but its light is enough to remind Bikini Bottom that the world above is resting too. The sea and the sky mirror one another, both wrapped in the same blanket of calm. The night is not hurried. The night does not rush. It stretches itself out like a long sigh, moving slowly, gently, endlessly. And Bikini Bottom, in its quiet streets, belongs entirely to the night. The night has now settled fully, wrapping Bikini Bottom in a silence so deep, it feels like the town itself is asleep. Nothing stirs quickly. Nothing moves with urgency. Time drifts more slowly here, as though each moment is stretched out to make the stillness last. The day has been folded away, tucked into memory, leaving only the hushed beauty of rest. The lamplight continues to glow gently across the sandy streets. The shells that crown each lamp shine with a soft, pearl-like shimmer, and the glow reaches just far enough to touch the edges of buildings before fading into the dark. The pools of light make the town look like a chain of small islands floating in a sea of shadow. Each one holds a circle of safety, but the shadows between them are just as comforting, inviting the mind to wander. On one corner, a small boatmobile rests in silence. Its engine is cold, and its wheels are still pressed lightly into the sand. During the day, it might have carried its driver through the busy streets, weaving between laughter and chatter. But tonight it stands completely motionless, its windows dark, its polished metal catching only the faintest shimmer of passing light. It seems almost alive in its waiting, like it too is taking a break from its daily routine. The soft sound of bubbles rises from the cracks of the street. They float upward, wobbling gently as they climb, then burst quietly into nothingness. Each one vanishes so softly that the silence feels unbroken. They appear here and there like tiny reminders that the sea itself is breathing. Beyond the houses, the reef lies calm, its colors subdued to faint shades of violet and gray. Coral branches stretch outward, unmoving except for the faint sway of the current. Small creatures tuck themselves into the reef's many pockets, shells and fins hidden away for safety. The reef, usually alive with sound and motion, now feels like an ancient cathedral, solemn, quiet, and vast, as though holding its breath for the night. Even the ocean floor feels still. The sand lies smooth and untouched, marked only by the faint trails of creatures that passed by before settling down. The grains glisten faintly when the light hits them, scattering sparkles that look like stars beneath the sea. Occasionally, a soft ripple of water brushes over the sand, shifting it just slightly before leaving it still again. The night carries with it a rhythm, though it is a rhythm that can barely be noticed unless one listens closely. It is the rhythm of the water brushing against stone, of kelp swaying in slow arcs, of faint currents weaving through the streets. It is steady, unhurried, like the ocean's own lullaby. Every creature in Bikini Bottom seems to fall into step with it, breathing in harmony with the sea's slow song. Farther from the town, the cliffs rise tall against the backdrop of the water. Their shadows stretch long and dark, like guardians watching over the sleeping village. Small caves within the cliffs hold hidden life, anemones folding their arms inward, crabs tucked deep inside crevices, schools of tiny fish resting in clusters. The cliffs do not move, but they seem alive in their own stillness, standing as silent witnesses to another night of rest. In the distance, the lighthouse beam sweeps once more, patient and steady. It passes across the rooftops, the lamplights, the reef, and then returns again, circling endlessly without hurry. Each sweep feels like the turning of a page, marking time without rushing it forward. The light is a promise, steady and constant, that the town is safe under its watch. Above it all, the stars glimmer faintly through the water, their light softened but not lost. They sparkle in patterns, some bright, some faint, like secrets scattered across the sky. Their reflection ripples down through the sea, breaking into silver shards that dance across rooftops and coral. To anyone watching from below, it feels as though the stars themselves are keeping company with the town, offering their quiet companionship until morning. Bikini Bottom, in these hours, is not the lively town it is by day. It is something else, something gentler. It is a place of pause, a place where every building, every creature, every grain of sand takes part in a shared dream. The energy of the day has not vanished. It has only transformed, softened into something slower, quieter, more tender. And so the night lingers. It lingers in the spaces between the lamplights. It lingers in the shadows of coral branches. It lingers in the hush of the streets, in the closed shutters of the houses, in the slow sweep of the lighthouse beam. It lingers in the way the current moves, soft and steady, guiding the town through hours of rest. The ocean hum continues, low and eternal. It carries with it all the weight of time, and yet, in this moment, it feels like it belongs only to Bikini Bottom. The hum is the cradle, the lamplights are the blanket, and the shadows are the pillows. The entire town is tucked in, safe and sound, as the night continues its quiet watch. Here in the quiet streets of Bikini Bottom, rest is not just something that happens, it is something that lives, breathing through the water, pulsing through the coral, humming through the sand. It is deep, steady, and endless. And in this silence, in this peace, the night holds everything. Inside the glowing pineapple at the center of town, the night has already begun to settle. The outer walls, bright and golden during the day, are now muted under the moonlight. Shadows ripple gently across its textured surface as the water shifts outside, making it look almost like the pineapple is breathing softly in its sleep. The leafy crown at the top sways lazily, brushing the water in slow arcs, whispering secrets only the sea can hear. The round windows, usually open to the daylight, and the sounds of passing neighbors are now dim. A faint glow peeks from one, a soft warmth from a lamp SpongeBob has left on inside, but it is the kind of glow that belongs to bedtime, not to work or play. It flickers quietly against the glass, like a candle watching over the night. Step inside, and the pineapple feels different from the daytime. The walls are the same cheerful orange, the floor is the same clean tile SpongeBob takes such care in scrubbing, but there is a hush that lingers everywhere. The silence wraps around each room, broken only by the faint bubbling of the water outside and the occasional soft creak of furniture settling into place. In the kitchen, everything is neatly arranged. The sink gleams faintly in the lamplight, not a single dish left behind. SpongeBob has wiped each counter carefully, polishing them until they shine. The fridge is closed tight, humming softly to itself, and the stove, so often alive with sizzling patties, is cold and silent. The chairs around the table stand perfectly straight, as though waiting politely for tomorrow's breakfast. Even the clock on the wall ticks more slowly at this hour, its steady rhythm blending into the quiet. The living room is cozy in its stillness. The large cushioned chair that SpongeBob often bounces into is quiet now, its fabric gently rising and falling as though it too is at rest. The television is dark, the screen reflecting only the dim glow of the lamp across the room. On the walls, the familiar portraits and decorations hang in perfect stillness, smiling down gently, their colors softened by the quiet light. The room holds the echoes of laughter, of SpongeBob's cheerful humming, of Gary's meowing. But tonight, it is a place of peace. Gary lies curled up in his small bed of sea leaves near the corner. His shell glimmers faintly in the lamplight, and his eyes, usually so alert and curious, are closed now. With each slow breath he takes, a soft sound escapes, a gentle, almost musical meow that rises and falls like a lullaby. His little body shifts only slightly as he dreams, perhaps of drifting across gardens of coral or nibbling on his favorite snacks. The soft rhythm of Gary's breathing fills the room with a sense of comfort, the steady sound of a creature completely at ease. Upstairs, SpongeBob is preparing for sleep. His small bedroom is bright with personality, filled with little treasures and decorations that make the space feel alive even in the stillness of night. His bed stands neatly against the wall, its frame shaped like a pirate's ship, sails folded and still. The blankets are tucked tightly, smooth and neat, waiting for him to climb inside. A round, fluffy pillow sits at the head, puffed up and ready to cradle his square little face. On the dresser, SpongeBob has placed his folded, square pants with care. He hums a gentle tune as he smooths the fabric with his hand, making sure the corners line up perfectly. To SpongeBob, this ritual is more than habit. It is a way of bringing the day to a close, of setting everything in its place before rest. His humming is soft and slow, a melody without words, carrying into the quiet like a secret song for himself and Gary alone. He pauses for a moment, looking around his room. On one wall, his jellyfishing net rests against its hook, the handle gleaming faintly in the lamplight. Next to it sits a shelf of small knickknacks, collected over the years, seashells, rocks, and little odds and ends from his adventures with Patrick. Each object feels like a memory, and SpongeBob smiles softly as his eyes pass over them. With a slow, happy sigh, he climbs into bed. The blankets hug him as he pulls them up, tucking them around his square frame. He squeezes his pillow gently, nuzzling into its softness, and lets his body sink into the mattress. The ship-shaped bed creaks faintly under his weight, but even the sound feels cozy, a part of the house, settling into rest. SpongeBob's eyes flutter as he stares at the ceiling above, decorated with small stars that glow faintly in the dark. He blinks slowly, his breathing steadying, each breath quieter than the last. His mind drifts over the day, working at the Krusty Krab, laughing with Patrick, saying goodnight to Squidward, checking in on Gary. Each memory feels like a soft feather, brushing against his thoughts before floating away. The house is utterly still now. The walls hold the silence. The furniture rests. The lamp glows faintly, casting gentle shadows that sway with the water outside. And SpongeBob, safe and warm in his bed, lets the quiet carry him closer and closer to dreams. The pineapple house seems to breathe along with SpongeBob. Each time he exhales softly into his pillow, the water outside pushes gently against the outer walls, as though the ocean is listening and responding with its own sigh. The house feels alive in its stillness, cradling its inhabitant in quiet safety. On the nightstand beside his bed sits a small lamp, its glow muted by a seashell shade. The light filters through the patterned shell, scattering delicate shapes across the walls and ceiling. They dance faintly in the water's movement, shifting slowly like clouds in the sky. SpongeBob blinks at them drowsily, watching their patterns soften and fade. His square body relaxes deeper into the mattress, and the room grows warmer with the comfort of sleep. From downstairs, Gary shifts once in his little bed of sea leaves. His shell rubs softly against the smooth edge of his cushion, making a faint sound that drifts up the staircase. SpongeBob hears it only faintly and smiles, his eyelids heavy but his heart full of warmth. He whispers a quiet, "Good night, Gary." His voice so soft it barely escapes his lips. Though Gary cannot hear him now, the words seem to rest in the room like another gentle blanket. The walls of the bedroom are lined with SpongeBob's cheerful decorations, each one glowing faintly in the lamplight. A framed picture of him and Patrick rests on one side, their faces wide with joy, arms thrown around each other during a day of jellyfishing. Another shelf holds a tiny model of the Krusty Krab, hand-carved and slightly uneven, but precious to him all the same. These little tokens remind him of everything he loves, the simple joys of his days, the friends who share them, and the adventures that always await tomorrow. Tonight they surround him like guardians, watching over his sleep. The air inside the pineapple is still, yet full. It carries the faint scent of sea foam and the gentle sweetness of the fruit walls themselves. The smell is familiar, comforting, reminding SpongeBob of mornings filled with laughter and evenings filled with rest. He breathes it in slowly, deeply, each breath carrying him further into the steady rhythm of sleep. Outside his window, the ocean hums softly. The glow of the moon above filters through the water, painting silver shapes across the sand. From time to time, a jellyfish drifts past, its body pulsing faintly with blue light. SpongeBob's half-closed eyes catch the faint glow as it brushes across the curtains, and he sighs contentedly. To him it is as if the jellyfish are keeping watch, drifting quietly through the night to make sure everything is safe. He tucks the blanket a little tighter around himself, pulling it up to his chin. His toes wiggle under the covers before they finally still, nestled in warmth. His arms wrap around the pillow, and his breathing slows further. Thoughts begin to blur together, soft shapes and colors forming the edges of dreams. In the kitchen below, the fridge hums its steady tune. The sound is faint, but it fills the silence with comfort. A reminder that everything is working, everything is steady, everything is right. The sink, empty and shining, reflects the faint lamplight from the hallway. A wooden spoon leans against the counter, perfectly clean, ready for tomorrow. Even these small, ordinary things seem at peace, waiting patiently for morning's return. The living room is wrapped in shadow now. The chair sits unmoving, the rug beneath it flat and undisturbed. On the coffee table, a small conch shell rests, its spiral catching the faintest glimmer from the street lamp outside. No sound comes from the television. No flicker of moving images, only stillness. It is a silence that feels whole, not empty, as if the house itself is whispering, sleep, rest, dream. Back upstairs, SpongeBob's eyes are now barely open. The glowing stars on his ceiling blur into one another, their soft shine blending into the shapes cast by the seashell lamp. His mind drifts gently, no longer clinging to the events of the day, but allowing them to dissolve like sand into water. His body loosens, each limb sinking deeper into the mattress. The tight corners of his square form soften, and his smile lingers faintly even as his face grows slack with drowsiness. The house listens. It holds the quiet. The furniture, the walls, the tiny ticking of the clock. They all blend into one gentle rhythm, steady and calm. Nothing in the pineapple moves with haste. Every sound, every shift, every breath belongs to the slow, dreamlike pace of night. A bubble escapes from the sink pipe downstairs, rising quietly through the water before popping against the ceiling. The sound is faint, almost like a whisper. SpongeBob does not stir, but in some way, the bubble feels like part of the lullaby surrounding him. The house and the sea work together, weaving silence and sound into one soft fabric of rest. The pineapple glows faintly from within, its small lamp shining through the window like a beacon of calm in the dark streets of Bikini Bottom. From the outside, it looks like a lantern placed carefully in the sand, lighting the night not with brightness but with warmth. Any creature passing by would know at once that this is a safe place, a place where peace is welcome and dreams are free to come. And so as the ocean sighs beyond its walls, SpongeBob drifts ever closer to sleep, tucked into the heart of his pineapple home. The night deepens around the pineapple. Outside, the currents of the sea grow slower, calmer, as if even the ocean is sinking into rest. The moonlight filters through the water in thinner beams now, shimmering faintly against the sandy ground. The pineapple's leafy top sways just slightly, brushing against the quiet water like a lullaby repeated over and over. Inside, SpongeBob lies still beneath his covers. His body has grown heavy with sleep, his breathing soft and even. His hands rest gently around his pillow, his cheek pressed into its softness. Though his eyes are closed, his smile lingers faintly, a reflection of his gentle spirit. Dreams are beginning to carry him away, though he clings to them loosely, letting them shape themselves as they will. The seashell lamp glows with unwavering patience, its soft light spilling across the room like warm honey. Its glow reaches the dresser, touches the walls, and spreads across the floor in gentle shapes. In the glow, the objects of SpongeBob's life take on a new softness. The jellyfishing net seems less like a tool and more like a memory, a symbol of afternoons in wide-open fields of jellyfish, drifting without care. The small model of the crusty crab appears like a toy in a child's dream, simple and perfect. Even the folded square pants on the dresser glow as if they are resting too, waiting for tomorrow. Downstairs, Gary has turned slightly in his bed. His shell catches the faint lamplight from the hallway, gleaming with a pearly sheen. His tiny body shifts as he dreams, legs twitching faintly as if he were gliding across imaginary meadows of coral. From his lips comes a quiet, high-pitched sound, almost like the soft squeak of a violin string. It is not loud, not startling, just the gentle sound of a creature lost in its own dreams. His breathing steadies again, returning to its rhythmic rise and fall. The house remains perfectly still, yet alive with presence. Every corner hums with quiet. Every wall holds the hush of night. Even the furniture seems softened by the calm. The chair in the living room leans just slightly into its cushion, as though tired from the day. The rug rests flat, unmoving. The television, dark and quiet, reflects the faint glow of the lamp upstairs, its screen a black mirror of the calm. The kitchen is hushed, though the refrigerator hum continues, a steady heartbeat beneath the silence. Its low tone blends into the house's lullaby, steady and constant. On the counter, a jar of bubbles stands neatly beside a glass. The bubbles glisten faintly in the dim light, tiny globes of stillness waiting for morning play. A spoon rests in a drawer, and the cupboard doors are closed tight, guarding their contents with gentle patience. The walls of the house seem to echo with kindness. SpongeBob's laughter from earlier in the day still lingers faintly in the wood, like the memory of a song that will never truly fade. The sound is not loud, not even present, but the sense of it remains like warmth after sunlight. Tonight, it is folded into the quiet, giving the house not just silence, but peace. Outside, a jellyfish drifts past the window. Its body pulses gently, glowing blue against the water. For a moment, the glow brushes across the curtains in SpongeBob's room, painting his sleeping face with the faintest light. He stirs only slightly, his smile deepening, as though the jellyfish has whispered something kind in his dream. The creature floats onward, vanishing into the night, leaving behind nothing but stillness. The clock ticks softly on the wall, each second sliding into the next. Time in the pineapple does not rush. It does not push or demand. Instead, it flows as gently as the currents outside, giving SpongeBob all the space he needs to rest. Each tick is like a soft footstep in the distance, moving forward without hurry. SpongeBob's breathing has slowed even further. His chest rises and falls with a rhythm as steady as the tide. His dreams are deeper now, no longer just shapes and colors, but drifting moments of imagination. Perhaps he is floating across jellyfish fields with Patrick, or blowing the perfect bubble that carries him high above Bikini Bottom. Perhaps he is flipping patties at the Krusty Krab, but in a world where each sizzle sings a lullaby. Dreams, like the ocean, hold no limits, and SpongeBob, with his open heart, floats wherever they take him. The pineapple glows faintly in the night, its presence a lantern in the sea. From the outside, the glow is barely noticeable, but to anyone nearby, it is a sign of comfort, a sign of home. Other houses in Bikini Bottom may be quiet too, but the pineapple's glow carries something special, an unspoken warmth that drifts outward into the water, joining the calm of the night. Gary's breathing joined SpongeBob's in its rhythm, two soft sounds rising and falling in harmony. The snail and his friend resting under the same roof, dreaming in their own ways, yet connected by the quiet bond of companionship. Itself seems to hum along with them. The refrigerator's tone, the creaks of wood, the tick of the clock, all weaving together into one quiet song of sleep. The ocean outside presses gently against the pineapple's walls, not with force, but with care. It is the cradle that holds the home, the blanket that wraps it in stillness. In this moment, the pineapple is not just a house. It is a cocoon of peace, a sanctuary for rest, a place where even the most energetic sponge in the sea can find quiet. And so the night continues, carrying SpongeBob and Gary deeper into the embrace of dreams, while the pineapple stands tall and patient, glowing softly against the vast and silent sea. The night outside drifts on, slow and unbroken. Bikini Bottom grows quieter with every passing moment, but inside the pineapple, the stillness has already reached its fullest form. It is not an empty silence. It is a living quiet, filled with breath, warmth, and safety, the kind of silence that encourages sleep. SpongeBob lies in his ship-shaped bed tucked neatly beneath the covers. His body has gone completely slack now, every corner of his square frame softened by rest. His hands, once clutching the pillow, have loosened, fingers splayed lazily across the fabric. His eyelashes rest against his cheeks, and the faintest smile remains on his lips, evidence that even in dreams his heart is full of joy. The seashell lamp on the nightstand flickers once as a current brushes the house, casting new shapes across the walls. The stars painted on the ceiling glow faintly, unchanged, their soft radiance like a gentle reminder of the world beyond. SpongeBob does not stir. He is lost in dreams, carried into realms where jellyfish glide like clouds, where bubbles rise into skies that never end, where laughter and lightness follow him wherever he floats. From downstairs, Gary releases a soft, elongated meow in his sleep. It wavers slightly, then fades into a gentle sigh. The sound travels faintly up the stairs, wrapping itself around SpongeBob's dreams like a familiar thread. Though he does not wake, his smile deepens for a moment, as if the bond between him and Gary stretches even into the quiet world of sleep. The kitchen hums with its usual rhythms, each sound muted by the hour. The refrigerator's low tone continues steadily, joined now and then by the faint drip of condensation into a pan below. These sounds are not interruptions. They are background music to the house's slumber, blending seamlessly into the ocean's lullaby. On the counter, the jar of bubbles glimmers faintly, waiting for morning light. In the living room, the decorations and furniture hold their own stillness. The chair stands patient, the rug soft and undisturbed. A small shell on the coffee table reflects the lamplight from upstairs in a faint shimmer. Even in darkness, the house does not feel empty. It feels alive, but resting, like a heart that beats quietly through the night. Outside the window, a school of tiny glowing fish drifts past, their movements synchronized, their bodies shining faint blue in the dark water. They pass the pineapple in silence, their glow slipping through the glass in soft streaks. The light brushes across SpongeBob's bed, illuminating him for only a breath before fading again. It feels like the ocean itself has come to bless his dreams, sending a gentle wave of light before vanishing back into the deep. The clock on the wall ticks steadily, each sound a marker of time's patient progress. Yet within the pineapple, time feels slower. Minutes stretch into long strands, unwinding softly, unhurried. The night does not rush toward morning. It allows the house and its inhabitants to rest, to soak in the quiet without limit. SpongeBob shifts once in his sleep. He turns slightly, pulling the blanket tighter around him. A soft sound escapes his lips, half sigh, half whisper, before he stills again. His pillow cradles him, and the warmth of his bed holds him steady. Whatever dream he is in carries him deeper now, further from the waking world, into a place of complete rest. Gary dreams as well, his legs twitching faintly as though he is moving through endless fields of seagrass. His shell gleams in the faint light that reaches the floor. The small bed of leaves beneath him is perfectly shaped to his body, holding him as securely as SpongeBob's mattress holds the sponge himself. Their rest mirrors each other, two friends, two companions, each lost in their own dreams, yet bound together by the quiet safety of home. The walls of the pineapple embrace the silence. They have heard SpongeBob's laughter, his songs, his chatter, and his busy footsteps during the day. Now they absorb his stillness. They hold his sleep as gently as they hold his joy. The house is more than shelter. It is a vessel of his spirit, reflecting him in every corner. And tonight, it reflects his calm. The night outside stretches on, yet it does not intrude. The sea protects the house, the water pressing gently against it like a blanket. The sand beneath stays steady, the leafy top sways softly, and the glowing windows mark the pineapple as a beacon of warmth in the vast ocean dark. If a passerby were to drift along these streets, they would see the faint light glowing through the glass, hear the muted hum of the fridge, and feel the calm radiating outwards. They would know at once that inside this pineapple lives a spirit of kindness, now at rest, dreaming peacefully with his snail companion. And so the pineapple remains, glowing faintly in the deep of night. Its silence is whole, its peace unbroken. Within, SpongeBob and Gary lie safe, carried into dreams by the gentle rhythm of the ocean, by the soft heartbeat of their home. The house does not hurry. It does not need to. It waits for morning patiently, holding the quiet of night with care. Each creak, each hum, each whisper of water against its walls is part of its lullaby. A song sung not with words, but with stillness. A song that carries its inhabitants deeper and deeper into rest. And as the last traces of waking thoughts dissolve, the pineapple becomes not just a home, but a sanctuary of dreams, steady, glowing, and eternal in its peace. Not far from SpongeBob's glowing pineapple, the tall stone figure of an Easter Island head rises out of the sand. Its face is stern and silent, its surface carved smooth by time and the weight of the sea. This is Squidward's house, standing firm in the quiet night, a shadowed contrast to the cheerful light of SpongeBob's home. The ocean currents press gently against the stone, brushing it with the slow rhythm of water. The tall, narrow windows glow faintly from within, casting slivers of light across the sand. The doorway is closed tight, a barrier between the noisy world outside and the calm sanctuary inside. Within the stone walls, Squidward's home breathes its own kind of peace. Where SpongeBob's pineapple glows with warmth and scattered charm, Squidward's home is organized, neat, and subdued. Each object has its place. Each corner is quiet. The air carries the faint scent of polished wood and old books, a mixture of order and tradition. In the main room, Squidward's clarinet rests carefully on a stand beside his chair. The instrument gleams faintly in the lamplight, polished smooth, waiting for morning practice. The chair beside it is tall-backed and simple, its cushion pressed flat by long hours of sitting. A small table rests at its side, with a half-finished cup of tea still steaming faintly, its warmth blending into the room's still air. The walls are decorated with paintings, each one crafted by Squidward's careful hands. Bold strokes of color stretch across the canvases, some abstract, some portraits of his own likeness, each one a testament to his attempts at expression. Tonight the paintings are softened by the lamplight, their edges blurred, their colors muted into calm. They stand silently, watching over the room as guardians of his solitude. The floors are tidy, swept clean, and the furniture stands in order. Nothing is out of place. The home reflects Squidward's careful habits, his need for control and quiet. Yet in this silence, there is no harshness. The house does not feel rigid, but restful. It has absorbed his sighs, his mutterings, his long afternoons of music. Now it holds them all as memories, folded into the night. Squidward sits in his chair, his body leaned slightly back, eyes half closed. He is not yet asleep, but he is far from awake. His tentacles drape lazily across the armrests, his breathing slow and steady. The faint hum of the ocean outside seeps through the stone walls, and he lets it fill the silence. But he does not reach for it. Tonight, even music feels too heavy. Tonight, he allows the quiet itself to be the song. The tea beside him has grown lukewarm, but its faint steam curls upward in slow ribbons, vanishing into the air. Squidward's gaze rests on it for a moment, unfocused, as though he is staring past it into something unseen. His eyelids droop, his body loosens, and the chair cradles him like a weary friend. From one of the shelves comes the faint creak of wood as the house shifts. Books line the shelves neatly, their spines straight and orderly. Titles of art, music, and history rest side by side, their pages unopened tonight, but heavy with knowledge. Squidward glances at them briefly, then closes his eyes again. He has read them all before. Tonight, there is nothing left to seek, only the comfort of their presence. The lamp on the table glows softly, casting a circle of light around him. It does not pierce the shadows, only softens them, blending the corners of the room into a haze. In the shadows, the outlines of sculptures he has carved stand tall and still, Their features, sharp and exaggerated, now look gentler in the dimness, as though the night has softened even his boldest creations. Squidward lets out a slow sigh, the kind that carries away the remnants of a long day. The sound fills the room for only a moment before dissolving back into the hush. He shifts in his chair, curling slightly, and allows his mind to wander. Thoughts drift like seaweed in the tide, faint memories of the day, distant dreams of the future, shapes without weight. They pass through him without clinging. Outside, the street is silent. SpongeBob's pineapple glows faintly nearby, but Squidward does not glance toward it. He knows it is there, knows the sponge is asleep, but tonight, that thought does not irritate him. Instead, it feels like a distant comfort, a reminder that he is not alone in this quiet. Even Patrick's rock rests silently in the sand, forming part of the stillness that surrounds him. The ocean beyond hums its steady tune, a rhythm deeper than music. It seeps through the walls, blending with the ticking of the clock and the faint curl of steam from his tea. Squidward closes his eyes fully now, letting the sounds wash over him. He does not resist them. He does not analyze them. He simply lets them carry him into rest. And in his stone home, surrounded by paintings, books, and silence, Squidward begins to sink into the night, letting his quiet corner become a sanctuary of dreams. The quiet in Squidward's home deepens as the minutes drift by. His chair holds him comfortably, and the gentle light of the lamp makes the room feel smaller, cozier, as though the stone walls themselves are leaning inward to keep him safe. The faint taste of tea lingers on his tongue, subtle and calming, fading into the same haze that has settled over the rest of the evening. On the wall across from him hangs a painting he finished earlier in the week. Its strokes are bold and purposeful, heavy with the effort he poured into it. By daylight, Squidward studied it critically, finding flaws only he could see, but under the lamplight and the stillness of night, the imperfections soften. The painting seems to look back at him gently, not with judgment, but with quiet acceptance. For the first time in days, Squidward allows himself to relax in its presence, feeling no urge to correct or improve it. His clarinet remains untouched on the stand beside him, its polished surface catching the light. He considers for a moment, lifting it to his lips, letting a single soft note rise into the room. But his body is too heavy, too calm. He does not need to play. Tonight the music is already here, woven into the silence, stitched into the ocean's slow pulse beyond the walls, against the stone exterior. Its movements are faint but steady, a reminder of the world beyond his walls. He imagines the sea presses gently against the stone exterior. Its movements are faint but steady, a reminder of the world beyond his walls. He imagines the sand shifting slightly, the currents brushing across the face of his house, smoothing its surface over and over again. The thought soothes him. The sea asks nothing of him. It accepts him as he is, quiet, still, thoughtful. The shelves of books stand tall and silent, their spines lined in orderly rows. Some are worn at the edges from years of reading, others newer, their pages still crisp. Squidward has spent countless hours with them, searching for knowledge, inspiration, or simply distraction. But tonight they are only companions, standing in patience, their presence enough. The sight of them, their steady order, reassures him. Nothing is chaotic here. Nothing is loud. Near the books, a small sculpture of a squid rests on a pedestal. Its features are exaggerated, a mixture of pride and comedy, as Squidward often sculpts himself. In the quiet lamplight, the statue looks softer, less sharp, its expression fading into gentleness. Squidward glances at it, and for once, he does not sigh. He simply lets it exist, as he too is existing. without effort, without performance. He leans further back in his chair, his eyelids heavy. The soft creak of wood under his weight joins the room's quiet chorus. His tentacles curl loosely around the armrests, their grip slackened by calm. His breathing slows, matching the rhythm of the sea. In, out. Each breath lighter, smoother, more unbroken than the last. Outside, the street is utterly still. SpongeBob's pineapple continues to glow faintly in the distance, its warmth spilling softly into the water. Patrick's rock is dark, a mound of quiet in the sand. No footsteps disturb the ground. No voices echo in the water. The neighborhood itself has given in to the hush of night, leaving Squidward's home embraced in solitude. The lamp flickers faintly, not from weakness, but from the passing of a slow current outside. Its glow shifts, stretching shadows across the floor, lengthening the shape of his chair, blurring the outlines of his paintings. The moving shadows soothe him, reminding him of waves rolling endlessly across the ocean floor. He imagined himself lying on soft sand, the water rising and falling over him, carrying away the weight of the day. His mind drifts backward, unbidden, to moments of the past. Not in detail, not in sharp recollection, only faint impressions. A morning spent practicing his clarinet, a quiet walk through town, his thoughts louder than the world around him. These memories surface like bubbles, soft and light, rising only to dissolve into nothing again. He does not cling to them. He lets them pass. Another sigh escapes him, long and steady, carrying tension away from his chest. It feels as though the house exhales with him, the walls shifting faintly, the air growing lighter. The silence thickens, not heavy but full, like a blanket woven from stillness itself. The clock ticks on the wall, its sound steady and sure. Each tick is gentle, each moment slipping seamlessly into the next. Squidward listens without really hearing, the rhythm blending with the other sounds of the night. Together they form a lullaby, one made not of melody but of quietness, patience, and rest. The cup of tea has stopped steaming now, its surface calm and reflective. Squidward glances at it one last time, then lets his eyes close again. He does not need it anymore. Sleep is already close, curling at the edges of his thoughts, waiting to carry him deeper into the night. And so, in his stone home filled with art, books, and silence, Squidward rests. He does not need company. He does not need applause. He only needs this, a quiet corner in the vast sea, where the night can hold him steady, where the world is simple, where rest comes freely. The house holds him as the night drifts on. Squidward remains in his chair, his body slack with calm, his eyes closed but not yet surrendered to full sleep. He hovers in the space between waking and dreaming, where thoughts float but never settle, where silence becomes a gentle tide that carries him. The lamplight continues its soft glow, spilling across the walls, reaching into corners. The light bends across the edges of his sculptures, making their shadows long and elegant. Some shadows look sharper, others softer, depending on the angle, and Squidward feels a strange comfort in this shifting display. It is as though the room itself is alive, moving slowly with him, showing him its many quiet faces. From outside, a faint ripple of bubbles passes by the window. They drift upward, catching what little moonlight filters through the sea. For a brief moment, the room shimmers faintly with their glow, then the bubbles vanish, leaving only the steady hush. Squidward does not stir, but somewhere deep inside, the sight eases him further, reminding him that the sea itself is always moving, always soothing, always present. His clarinet rests within reach. Its polished body seems to invite him to lift it, to press his lips against the reed, and let a long note sigh into the night. But Squidward resists. Tonight is not for practicing, not for performing. Tonight is for quiet, and the quiet is enough. He wonders briefly if perhaps this silence is the greatest song he will ever hear. The paintings on the wall look softer now, their edges blurred by shadow. One, a self-portrait with bold strokes, seems to smile faintly in the dimness, though in daylight it always appeared stern. Another, an abstract wash of blues and greens, seems to ripple like the ocean itself under the lamplight. Squidward lets them be, not analyzing, not critiquing. Tonight, they are not works to be judged. They are companions, keeping him company in their own still way. He exhales again, long and steady, the sound blending into the ocean's hum beyond the walls. His chair creaks faintly as he shifts, turning slightly onto his side, his tentacles curling together loosely. The fabric of the cushion holds his shape, offering support without demand. He feels cocooned, safe, sheltered. The books on the shelves stand unmoving, but the faint shadows of the lamp give them depth, as though they are leaning slightly toward him, offering their silent wisdom. He has read them all, pages of art theory, music studies, philosophy. But in this moment, their words are unnecessary. Their presence alone is enough. He does not need answers tonight. He does not need questions. He only needs quiet. From the kitchen comes the faintest sound, the drip of water from a faucet not quite turned tight. It falls once, then again, each drop echoing softly in the still house. Far from disturbing him, the sound soothes Squidward, the rhythm falling into place with the ticking clock and the hum of the ocean. Each sound is a thread, and together they weave the fabric of the night. He allows his thoughts to drift. They move like shadows, half-formed, shapeless. A memory of painting by the window, the light hitting the canvas just so. A faint image of playing his clarinet, the notes rising upward into nothingness. A feeling of walking alone across the sand, the sea stretching endlessly before him. These images come and go without weight, like bubbles rising to the surface and vanishing. He lets them pass without holding on. The ocean outside shifts gently, pressing against the stone with slow waves. The walls absorb the movement, firm and steady, but not unkind. The house feels like an anchor, keeping Squidward rooted even as the water flows endlessly around him. It is his refuge, his sanctuary, his quiet corner of the sea. The lamp flickers once more, then steadies, its glow unwavering. Squidward feels the flicker in his mind, a gentle reminder of time's passage. Yet here, time feels irrelevant. The night could last forever, and he would not notice. The silence stretches long, but it does not drag. It cradles him, letting him rest without thought for what comes next. He breathes in deeply, the air cool and faintly tinged with the scent of old books and polished wood. He breathes out slowly, the sound blending into the hush. Each breath is longer now, slower, more unbroken. His body grows heavier with each one, sinking deeper into the chair. Outside, the faint glow from the SpongeBob's pineapple flickers across the sand. Squidward knows it is there, though his eyes are closed. He imagines the sponge already lost in his ridiculous dreams, probably smiling in his sleep. For once, the thought does not annoy him. Instead, it comforts him. Even in his solitude, he is not entirely alone. Around him, his neighbors rest too, each in their own way, each held by the same ocean night. The quiet thickens, becoming not absence but presence. Squidward feels it pressing gently against him. wrapping him like a blanket. His limbs are heavy now, his thoughts lighter than ever, drifting away. The world narrows to breath, to heartbeat, to stillness. And in his stone home, under the watch of his art and his books, Squidward surrenders a little more to the night, letting the silence carry him further into rest. The night deepens, though within Squidward's stone home the passage of time feels softened, stretched thin by the stillness that fills every corner. He rests in his chair, his body sunk into its familiar shape, his breath slow, his eyelids heavy. The world is narrowed into something simple, the glow of the lamp, the hush of the sea, the rhythm of his own breathing. Beyond the walls, the ocean is vast, but here it feels small and safe, like a private chamber built of silence and water. The faint currents brush gently against the exterior, as though the sea itself is cradling his home, rocking it in rhythms older than memory. Squidward imagines himself floating freely, weightless in the endless blue, and finds the thought strangely comforting. The clock ticks steadily, each beat of time softened by distance. Its sound does not urge him forward, nor remind him of anything undone. Instead, it becomes part of the lullaby that the house is weaving around him. Tick, hush, steady, patient, eternal. On the wall, his paintings glow faintly in the shifting lamplight. The self-portrait gazes out with muted expression, no longer demanding attention, but instead simply being as much a part of the quiet as Squidward himself. The abstract blue and green canvas looks almost alive now, as though the sea has slipped inside it, moving gently within the paint. Squidward does not dwell on this. He only lets the impression wash over him, soft and dreamlike, before drifting back into stillness. His clarinet, gleaming faintly in the lamplight, remains untouched. He had thought earlier of playing just one note, something soft and low to carry into the night, but he no longer feels the need. The silence around him has become its own melody, more perfect than anything he could produce. The sea sings without sound, the walls hum with their stillness, and his breath keeps time. He realizes there is nothing missing. The sculpture by this shelf catches his gaze for a fleeting moment. Its exaggerated features, usually source of self-mockery or reluctant amusement, now feel strangely reassuring. The stone figure looks peaceful, content to stand watch in the quiet. Squidward allows himself a small smile, not wide, not forced, just the faintest curve of contentment. It fades quickly, but the feeling lingers. A faint sound comes from outside, perhaps the whisper of a current brushing across the sand, or a tiny crab shifting grains as it scuttles by. The sound is soft, fragile, almost uncertain, but it does not disturb the calm. It becomes part of it. A reminder that the world continues even as Squidward sits unmoving, that life carries on in small, quiet ways all around him. The drip from the faucet continues its slow rhythm, steady as the clock. Each drop falls into the silence, echoing gently, dissolving before the next one comes. The sound has grown familiar, a companion in the stillness. Squidward no longer notices it as separate. It blends into the night's composition, seamless, complete. He shifts slightly in his chair, his body sinking deeper, his tentacles folding into a loose, comfortable tangle. The cushion beneath him feels softer than it did earlier, as though it has grown accustomed to his weight, shaping itself around him. He exhales again, a deep and steady sigh, and feels the last of his tension slip away with it. His thoughts are nearly gone now, reduced to faint impressions. He no longer lingers on memories of painting or practicing. He no longer imagines the movements of his neighbors. His mind is slowed, quieted, and settled into the same rhythm as his body. What remains is a single, steady awareness of being here, in this chair, in this room, in this moment, and nothing more. The lamp's glow dims as the flame within grows smaller, but Squidward does not stir. The darkness edges in gently, not sudden, not harsh. It creeps across the room like a soft tide, blending with the shadows already there. As the light fades, the outlines of his art, his books, his clarinet, blur together into shapes without detail, presence without form. It is enough. For a long moment, Squidward remains on the edge of waking, his breath slow, his chest rising and falling like the ocean itself. Then gradually, sleep pulls him further in. The silence deepens around him, no longer heard but felt, thick and warm. His body grows heavier, his thoughts dissolve entirely, and the night takes him. The house remains as it was, stone and stillness, filled with art and memory, but now it is quieter still, holding not just a man at rest, but a dreamer slipping deeper into the embrace of sleep. The lamp flickers one last time before the flame extinguishes, leaving only the soft glow of the moon filtering through the sea. The shadows settle. The silence grows. Outside, Bikini Bottom remains hushed. SpongeBob sleeps in his pineapple. Patrick snores gently beneath his rock. Mr. Krabs dozes in his office, lulled by the memory of the sea. And in the quiet corner between them, Squidward rests in his stone home, his night complete. The ocean breathes against the sand. The world continues its endless rhythm. But within these walls, nothing stirs. Nothing breaks the calm. And in this quiet, Squidward finds what he has always sought: peace. The rock that Patrick Star calls home is as unassuming as any place in Bikini Bottom could be. By day, it looks like nothing more than a large, rounded boulder sitting in the sand, a simple covering for a simple life. But by night, when the streets of Bikini Bottom fall silent and the ocean glows with its faint, silvery hue, Patrick's rock becomes something more. It becomes a cradle for dreams. The stars shine faintly above, and their light softened as it filters through the water. They glimmer like distant pearls scattered far across the night sea, steady and endless. From beneath his rock, Patrick stirs, not awake, not fully asleep, but floating in that quiet, hazy space between. His chest rises and falls slowly, each breath deep and steady, the sound muffled by the sand around him. Inside, his home is little more than a bed, and a few odds and ends scattered about. The floor is sandy, cool against his skin. His bed is soft enough, though uneven, like a patch of ocean floor pulled into a nest. Patrick doesn't need much more than this. He has always been content with little, and tonight, his small home feels perfectly suited to the rhythm of rest. The silence is complete, save for the faint rumble of Patrick's snoring. It comes in waves like the tide itself, low, long rumbles that fade then rise again. Though loud by day, at night his snores melt into the hush of the sea, blending with the sound of currents brushing against his rock. Together they make a kind of music, rough but strangely soothing, an ocean's lullaby written just for him. Patrick shifts in his sleep, his body sinking deeper into his bed of sand. His limbs sprawl outward, one arm draped across his pillow, his mouth parted in the shape of a soft smile. Even in sleep, Patrick seems at ease, untouched by worry, unbothered by thought. The simplicity of his mind gives him a peace that others struggle to find. Above, the stars shimmer again, their faint light tracing the outline of his rock, spilling softly across the sand outside. Small creatures crawl by in the night, a snail here, a drifting jellyfish there. but none disturb the quiet. They move around his home, respectful of its silence, as though they too know that Patrick is dreaming. Inside, the dreams begin to stir. Patrick does not dream like others. His dreams are not weighed with memory or thought. They are strange, playful, sometimes nonsensical, but always gentle. Tonight he dreams of floating upward through the sea until he reaches the stars themselves. They hang above him like glowing candy, sweet and shimmering. He reaches out a hand, and in the dream, the stars fall into his palm, warm and bright. He laughs softly in his sleep, a breathy chuckle that fades back into a snore. The rock above him creaks faintly as the ocean shifts. The sound is quiet, but it echoes inside, mixing with his breathing. Patrick does not stir. His dreams have grown thicker, wrapping around him like a blanket. He is no longer aware of his body on the sandy floor. He is only drifting now, carried higher into the sky of his mind, the stars guiding him. The neighborhood outside is hushed. SpongeBob's pineapple glows dimly in the distance. Squidward's stone home rests in perfect stillness, and farther away the sea continues its eternal rhythm. Yet here, under the rock, the world is even quieter, more complete. It is as if Patrick's home has folded itself around him, sealing him into a cocoon of peace. The stars above continue their steady watch, tiny sparks of light against the dark. Patrick's breathing matches their rhythm, slow, patient, endless. The ocean is vast, the night is deep, but in his little corner of Bikini Bottom, Patrick is perfectly content, perfectly safe, perfectly asleep. The sand shifts faintly as a current drifts by, brushing against the edges of his rock. The movement is small, almost unnoticeable, but Patrick feels none of it. His dreams carry him further now into places only he can see. He drifts across oceans of ice cream, floats above fields of shining jellyfish, and sleeps under skies where the stars hum softly like lullabies. None of it makes sense, and none of it needs to. For Patrick, dreams are not answers. They are simply comfort, shaped from the pieces of joy that live quietly inside him. His snores deepen, the sound rising and falling with the ease of the sea. They echo gently off the sandy floor, filling the small space without breaking its peace. The sound is not interruption. It is part of the stillness itself, rough and warm, familiar and safe. And so Patrick lies under his rock with the stars above, the ocean around, and dreams carrying him far away. The night stretches on, but within his small, simple home, time does not matter. All that matters is the quiet, the stars, and the peace of a heart that knows no burden. Patrick's dreams ripple like waves across his mind. One moment he is floating weightlessly among the stars, their glow soft and welcoming, and the next he is resting on a giant pillow of clouds shaped like jellyfish. In his dream, the world bends to his comfort, gentle, playful, and endlessly soothing. The ocean of his imagination carries him further from waking thought, deeper into its calm embrace. Inside his rock, his body reflects this peace. His limbs twitch faintly. His head nestles further into the sand pillow beneath him, and his mouth curves into a small, absent smile. His snores continue their steady rhythm, not sharp or jarring, but low and rolling, blending into the silence like another form of ocean song. The rock above creaks softly again as a current brushes past. Shadows shift faintly along the sandy floor, though Patrick does not notice. His home seems alive in its own quiet way, breathing with the sea, adjusting gently to its movements. The sound is subtle, but it adds to the sense that Patrick's rock is more than a roof. It is a shell, a shelter, a guardian that keeps him safe as he drifts through dreams. The stars outside continue to shimmer through the ocean, their faint light spilling across Bikini Bottom's sandy streets. To most, they are far away, unreachable. But in Patrick's dream, the stars are close enough to pluck like fruit. He gathers them into his arms, clumsy but happy, and lays them out beside him like glowing seashells. Each star hums faintly, a lullaby in a language only dreams can understand. A bubble escapes his lips as he chuckles in his sleep. The sound is light, a soft break in the rhythm of his snores. For a moment his whole body shifts with the laugh, then sinks again, heavy and calm. The bubble drifts upward, catching the faint glow of starlight, before vanishing into the water above. Outside his rock, the world of Bikini Bottom remains quiet. SpongeBob's pineapple flickers with the faint light of his bedside lamp. Squidward's house stands silent in its stillness, and even the crusty sign of the Krusty Krab sways gently with the current. The town is asleep, and the night belongs to dreams. Patrick's mind drifts again. Now he finds himself floating on a river of jelly, the water thick and sweet, carrying him slowly forward. He dips a hand into it, scooping up glowing colors that sparkle like jewels. He does not wonder where the river leads, nor does he question what it means. In his dream, he is content simply to float, carried by something larger than himself, trusting it without thought. Back in his rock, his body mirrors this surrender. His chest rises and falls with slow patience. His hands, splayed outward, curl faintly as though holding something unseen. His breath deepens, his snores grow softer, and the stillness around him thickens like a blanket. The stars above tilt slightly as the ocean's surface shifts with the current. Their faint glow bends and sways, shimmering across the sand outside. If Patrick were awake, he might notice how beautiful it is. The stars dancing as if they too were dreaming. But in his sleep, he only feels their presence. The way their glow seems to seep even to his dreams, lighting his world from within. A tiny crab scuttles across the sand near his rock, pausing for a moment as though listening. Patrick snores once, loud and rumbling, and the crab scurries away. The moment passes quickly, the night returning to its hush. The rock remains steady, the sand smooth, the world quiet once more. Patrick's dreams shift again. Now he lies on the back of a giant jellyfish, its body glowing faintly as it drifts upward through the water. The jellyfish moves without effort, carrying him higher and higher, past corals and shells, past mountains of stone, until the stars are close once more. Patrick stretches out, his body weightless, his mind free, and reaches for the stars as though they are old friends. The rhythm of his breathing keeps time with this dream journey. Slow, steady, patient. Each exhale is long, unhurried, like the drifting of the jellyfish. Each inhale is quiet, filling his chest without efforts. His body and his dream move as one, both carried gently forward into deeper rest. Inside the rock, the silence thickens again. The sounds of the ocean outside fade into background hum, the shadows settle into place, and Patrick remains untouched by the world. His home is simple, but it is enough. It holds him, shields him, and gives him space to dream. And so he continues, beneath the stars above and the rock around him, slipping deeper into slumber, where the sea and the sky are one, and where peace is all he knows. Patrick's dreams deepen, turning stranger, yet somehow softer, as though the sea itself is shaping them for his comfort. He drifts now across a sky that is not water, not land, but something in between, a canvas of starlight stretched endlessly in all directions. Each star hums with a note of music, faint and delicate, and together they form a song that Patrick does not need to understand. He simply listens, carried by the sound, weightless and calm. In his sleep, his body shifts slightly, rolling onto his side. His arm flops lazily across his stomach, and his legs stretch outward until his toes press against the cool sand. His breathing slows further, the snores softening to a low murmur, the sound of a tide just barely touching the shore. The shift is subtle, but it marks a deepening of his rest. Inside his dream, Patrick floats closer to one of the stars. It glows larger and warmer than the rest, pulsing faintly with a golden light. He reaches for it, clumsy and slow, and when his hand closes around it, the star does not burn. Instead, it feels soft, warm like a pillow, and it nestles against his palm. Patrick smiles, the same smile curving faintly on his face as he sleeps under the rock. He tucks the star against his chest and lets it rest there, as though it belongs to him. Outside, the neighborhood remains still. SpongeBob's window glows faintly, the light shifting now and then as the sponge rolls in his own dreams. Squidward's home is quiet, its lamp long extinguished, the silence around it as solid as stone. Even the sea creatures that wander at night seem hushed, their movements small and careful, as if they too do not wish to disturb the peace. A jellyfish drifts by Patrick's rock, its body glowing faint blue. It pauses, suspended in the current, its tentacles trailing gently behind. For a moment it hovers near the rock, as though sensing the dreamer within. Then, as silently as it came, it drifts on, disappearing into the vastness of the ocean night. Patrick's dream shifts again. The star in his hand grows larger until it becomes a glowing balloon lifting him upward. He rises slowly, carried higher and higher above the sea, past mountains of coral that glitter faintly in the distance. The water around him darkens, but the star keeps him warm, lighting his way. He feels no fear, no worry. He is carried by light, and that is enough. His body mirrors this dream's weightlessness. His limbs lie loose and relaxed, not heavy but soft, as if he is floating even in his sleep. His breaths come so deep and steady now that each exhale seems to linger in the air, joining the quiet hum of the sea. His snores, though faint, rise and fall like a slow lullaby, carrying the rhythm of his dream outward into the world. The sand outside his rock shifts faintly as a small current passes, sending tiny grains tumbling across the floor. The sound is so soft that it is almost nothing at all, a whisper within the silence. Patrick does not stir. He is far away now, lost in a dream that stretches endlessly, timeless and vast. In that dream, he finds himself lying once more on the back of the great jellyfish. The star he carried before now hovers above him, floating just out of reach, its glow casting a warm circle around them. The jellyfish drifts forward, slow and steady, across a sky filled with more stars than Patrick could ever count. Each one flickers like a friend waving from a distance. Patrick waves back, his hand clumsy but earnest, and laughs softly. The jellyfish hums in response, and together they continue across the infinite night. Back beneath the rock, his mouth opens slightly as a soft bubble escapes, rising upward and bursting with a faint shimmer. His breathing remains steady, his body heavy against the sand, his dreams untouchable. The rock stands firm above him, a guardian against the vast sea, keeping his rest unbroken. Time drifts on, though Patrick does not feel it. The stars shift subtly. The current moves slowly across the sand, the night deepens. But within his dreams there is no measure of time, only the gentle rhythm of drifting, only the peace of endless night, only the comfort of stars that never fade. And so Patrick sleeps on, his heart light, his mind free, his body wrapped in silence. The world outside continues, but inside his rock, nothing changes. There is only stillness, only dreams, only peace. The night stretches on, vast and unbroken, but inside his rock, Patrick's world remains soft and small. He lies unmoving, his breaths deep and even, his snores quieter now, reduced to a low murmur that blends perfectly into the ocean's lull. The stillness is complete, yet alive with gentle rhythm, as though the sea itself has slowed its pace to keep him company. His dreams continue their easy drift. Patrick now floats not on jellyfish or stars, but on a great cloud made of pink cotton candy. It carries him across the dream sky with effortless motion, its surface pillowy and sweet. He sprawls across it in the same way he sprawls across his bed in waking life, arms wide, legs loose, mouth parted in an easy grin. Above him, the stars form shapes, jellyfish, ice cream cones, and smiling faces that wink down at him as he drifts past. His body shifts faintly in his sleep, one arm sliding across the sandy floor until it rests comfortably against his side. His breathing remains steady, his chest rising and falling like waves brushing a calm shore. He is deep now, far beyond the edge of waking thought, nestled fully in rest. The neighborhood outside is silent. SpongeBob's pineapple no longer glows. The light inside is dimmed as SpongeBob has sunk into his own dreams. Squidward's home remains a shadow, still and unmoving. The water flows gently through the streets, stirring only sand, carrying no sound of life. It is as though the entire world has followed Patrick into sleep. A soft current drifts across the sand near his rock, carrying tiny shells and specks of coral. They roll gently with the flow, clicking faintly against one another before settling again. The sound is small, almost invisible against the silence, but it adds to the fullness of the night. Nothing here is empty. Even the quiet carries texture, movement, life. In his dream, Patrick watches the cotton candy cloud dissolve into a sea of bubbles. Each bubble rises, shimmering with soft colors, blue, pink, violet, before popping gently into nothing. He laughs, the sound bubbling out of him as naturally as breathing. His sleeping body echoes this with a faint chuckle, a sound so quiet it might be mistaken for a sigh. The bubble that escapes his lips rises lazily upward, catching a thread of starlight before vanishing into the water. The dream shifts again, as dreams often do. Now Patrick finds himself lying on a sandy hill beneath an even larger, closer sky. The stars are brighter here, glowing so warmly they seem almost alive. They blink slowly like eyes watching over him, but not with judgment, only with care. He reaches up toward them, and though his hand never quite touches, the glow seems to reach down toward him, as if meeting him halfway. Back in his rock, his body grows heavier, sinking further into his bed of sand. His tentacles curl loosely inward. His breathing slows even more, and his snores fade to the barest hum. His rest has become absolute. He is lost now in the deepest part of sleep, where no sound, no shift, no thought can disturb him. The ocean outside whispers against the sand, brushing past his rock with the gentlest of touches. The stars above sway faintly with the water's surface, their glow bending and stretching like ripples of light across a pond. The world remains vast and endless, but here beneath his rock, it feels close, safe, complete. Patrick's dream softens once more. The stars above him blur into a gentle haze, their light spreading into a blanket that folds around him. He no longer reaches, no longer floats, no longer drifts. He simply rests, held by the dream the way the sea holds his rock, steady and sure. The images fade, replaced only by a deep, unbroken calm. His mouth falls slightly open as another bubble slips free. His chest rises, falls, falls. The rhythm is steady, certain, unchanging. Time passes unnoticed. The night moves forward, but Patrick remains untouched, unbothered, at peace. Above, the stars keep their watch. Around him, the ocean flows. Within his rock, silence rests like stone. And in the heart of that silence, Patrick sleeps, carried through dreams that ask nothing, demand nothing, and give only comfort. He does not know of the stars' distance, of the ocean's vastness, of the world's endless turning. He knows only this, that beneath his rock, under the watch of the stars, he is safe. He is calm, and he is free to dream. The night holds him close. The sea keeps its rhythm. The stars remain. And Patrick, beneath his rock, continues to rest, simple, still, and perfectly at peace. Out beyond the quiet streets of Bikini Bottom, past the last flickering lanterns, and the faint glow of SpongeBob's pineapple home, the sea stretches into vast and shadowy silence. The water grows darker, the sand dips deeper, and the ocean night takes on a hushed, almost sacred calm. It is here, where the noise of the bustling town cannot reach, that a ship rests anchored in the sand. Its wood is worn by salt and tide, its sails ragged, its ropes frayed. But it stands proudly, still unsteady, like a memory that refuses to fade. This ship is not sailing now. Its days of rushing currents and wild winds have long passed. Tonight, it is still, cradled by the sea, rocking gently with the tide's slow rhythm. And on the deck, leaning against the base of the mast, sits Mr. Krabs. His eyes are half-lidded, his shell reflecting the faint glow of the stars above. The captain's hat he so often wears during the day has slipped low across his brow, shadowing his face. A lantern swings from a hook beside him, its golden light spilling softly across the wooden planks. The flame is weak, tired just like the sailor who sits beside it. Mr. Krabs' claws rest at his sides, one loosely curled around a coil of rope, the other resting on the deck. His breathing is steady, slow, his chest rising and falling in time with the waves. Every so often, the ship rocks gently beneath him, and his body sways in answer, moving with the rhythm as naturally as if he were part of it. The night has taken its hold on him, wrapping him in stillness. For Mr. Krabs, nights like this are more than just sleep. They are memory. As he drifts closer to slumber, his thoughts slip back to the sea as it once was. Wide horizons filled with adventure, the creak of sails in the wind, the glitter of treasure lying hidden on ocean floors. He sees flashes of himself as a younger crab, stronger, hungrier, always chasing fortune and challenge. But here, in the quiet of night, those images blur into gentler forms. The thrill of the chase softens into the comfort of having chased it all. A sigh escapes him, long and low, carried by the current. He is not the crab he once was, but in this moment, the truth is not heavy. Instead, it feels like a blanket of rest, a reminder that the sea still carries him, even now, even when the world is quiet. The lantern sways again, its light moving across the deck in slow golden arcs. Shadows dance with it, stretching and curling across the boards. Each movement feels small and deliberate, part of the ocean's lullaby. Mr. Krabs' eyes flutter closed, then open again, then close once more. His head tilts against the mast, and his breath deepens, slower, steadier. The sea around the ship whispers softly. Tiny waves lap against the hull, their rhythm unbroken, a voice older than any sailor. The sound is constant, but never sharp, soothing in its repetition. Far above, stars shimmer faintly, their light faint but enduring, scattered across the water's surface like coins spilled from a treasure chest. Mr. Krabs' dreams begin to stir even as his body remains still. He imagines the creak of sails above him, the snap of wind filling them, though the ship has long been anchored. In his mind, the deck is alive again, bustling with motion, ropes tightening, wood groaning, the sea pulling them onward. But there is no rush in these dreams, no battle against storm or tide. The ship sails smooth, steady, carried by calm waters, beneath a sky of endless stars. His claw twitches faintly against the rope beside him, the echo of those dream motions reaching his sleeping body. A soft sound rumbles in his throat. Not a snore exactly, but a low hum, like the mutter of a captain speaking quietly to himself. Then it fades, replaced once more by silence, as his body surrenders deeper to rest. The ship groans faintly as the current presses against its side. The boards shift, the mast creaks, and the ropes stir in the water's movement. All of it together forms a quiet song of wood and sea and age. Mr. Krabs is at the center of it, wrapped in the familiarity of the sounds he has known his whole life. Above, a gull passes across the surface of the water, a faint shadow gliding silently under the moonlight. It does not cry, does not stir the silence, only moves with the night, disappearing just as easily as it came. Mr. Krabs' breath falls into rhythm with the rocking of the ship. Each rise of his chest matches the upward lift of the tide. Each fall matches its gentle return. His body leans into it, tilting slightly as though he is part of the vessel itself. One more piece of wood, rope and memory carried by the water. The night deepens, the stars shimmer, the sea continues its endless whisper. And there, on the deck of his anchored ship, Mr. Krabs drifts closer and closer into the calm, his dreams carried by the same waves that have always been his home. The lantern flickers, its flame shrinking for a moment before swelling back to life. The light stretches across the deck, reaching toward the edges of the ship where shadows linger thick and heavy. Mr. Krabs does not stir. His body is sinking deeper into slumber, his head now resting fully against the mast. The captain's hat has tilted farther down his face, almost covering his eyes completely. He looks less like the fierce protector of coins and more like a weary sailor finally giving in to the sea's lull. His claws remain loose at his sides, no longer tense, no longer sharp with instinct. The great pinchers that once fought for treasure, for crew, for survival, now simply rest, heavy and still. His chest rises slowly, and when he exhales, the sound is low and deep, like the groan of wood bending under the tide. Dreams grow thicker now, weaving around him. He is back at sea, not in memory, not in longing, but in the dream world where everything feels whole again. The ship is strong beneath him, its sails tall, ropes taut, deck alive with the excitement of a voyage. But the dream sea is not harsh. Its waters are glass smooth, glowing faintly under starlight. Each wave is soft, carrying the vessel forward without resistance. Mr. Krabs stands at the helm, younger, taller, his eyes sharp and bright. His claws grip the wheel, steady and sure, and the wind fills his lungs with something more than salt. It fills him with life. He laughs in the dream, the sound booming across the water, and it echoes faintly in reality. A quiet chuckle rumbles out of him as he sleeps on the deck, so brief and small it could almost be mistaken for the creak of the mast. The dream continues its pull, drawing him further into its depths. Back on the real ship, the lantern sways again. The ropes shift in the breeze, brushing faintly against the wood with a whispering sound. A fish swims lazily beneath the hull, scales flashing once in the lantern's glow before vanishing into shadow. The sea is alive, but its life is quiet tonight, subtle, respectful, as if it knows its old sailor needs this peace. Mr. Krabs' breathing deepens, and his body slumps slightly lower, shoulders softening, claws sliding just a little farther down. His shell gleams faintly in the light, the red muted into softer tones by the gold of the lantern. For once, he does not carry tension. His entire form is given over to rest. In his dream, the stars above widen into brilliant constellations. They form shapes of coins, jewels, and treasure chests, each one glittering as though it were made of gold. Mr. Krabs gazes upward, his heart swelling, not with greed, but with wonder. He stretches a claw toward the stars, and for once he does not feel the need to clutch or count them. He only looks, only admires, letting the beauty of it fill him. His younger dream self smiles, softer than the crab ever allows himself to smile in waking life. The ship in his dream glides forward, parting calm waves that glow faintly like silver. The water makes no roar, no crash, only soft laps against the hull. Above him, the sails ripple gently. Around him, the night holds steady. There is no storm, no fear of loss. There is only the sea, endless and kind. A breeze passes across the real ship's deck, stirring the lantern flame and sending a shiver across the wood. The mast creaks, the ropes stretch, the sound of age and time murmuring through the silence. Mr. Krabs shifts faintly, his body leaning heavier against the mast, as though he is adjusting to the sea's rhythm even in his sleep. The old instincts remain. His body knows the movement of the water, knows how to rest with it instead of against it. Another sigh slips from him, quieter this time, almost content. His mouth curves faintly at the edges, the hint of a smile pulling at his face. Whatever dream he sees, it is gentle, kinder than the life he often lives. The lantern's light catches the edges of a small chest pushed against the corner of the deck. It is nothing fancy, nothing filled with riches, just a box of keepsakes, a few shells, a trinket or two, perhaps a coin not worth spending but too precious to let go. Its surface is scratched, its corners worn, but in the lantern's glow it shines faintly, like treasure anyway. The sight of it seems to steady the air around the deck, like an anchor holding the moment in place. Mr. Krabs' snores begin at last, low and steady, rolling like distant thunder. They are not harsh, but deep, carrying the weight of age and long years. Each one matches the rise and fall of the sea, a sound that blends perfectly with the creaks of the ship. The night continues around him, but nothing intrudes. The sea stays calm, the stars hold steady, the air remains soft. On the old deck of the anchored ship, Mr. Krabs rests as though he were still the captain of the sea, but now without battle, without burden, only stillness, only quiet, only dreams. The night grows older, though time seems to lose its shape on the open sea. The stars hold their steady glow, and the tide continues its endless rhythm. Nothing breaks the stillness, yet everything feels alive. The creak of rope and the sigh of waves, the low hum of wood against water. For Mr. Krabs, asleep on the deck, it is a perfect lullaby, one he has known since the earliest days of his youth. His snores roll steadily now, not loud enough to disturb, but deep enough to echo faintly against the mast. They join the sea's chorus, another sound folded into the night. His hat is slipped even farther down, nearly covering his face entirely, but he does not stir to fix it. He is beyond the need for small adjustments, surrendered fully to sleep. In his dream, the horizon spreads wide before him. He stands tall at the bow of the ship, wind in his face, claws strong and steady at his sides. The sea sparkles under the moonlight, and the stars above him form a map, constellations that mark hidden treasures waiting to be found. He does not sail alone. He feels the presence of crew at his back, loyal voices laughing and calling out, though their faces remain blurred. What matters is not who they are, but that they are there, that the ship is alive, that the journey continues. The dream washes over him like warm tidewater, gentle and forgiving. It does not demand, does not test him, does not make him chase endlessly. It simply offers him the sea, endless and kind, where he can sail forever without worry. For a crab whose days are filled with counting, clutching, guarding, this dream of plenty without fear is its own treasure. Back on the real deck, the lantern swings slower now, its flame shrinking lower. Its light no longer reaches the far edges of the ship. Instead, it pulls close to Mr. Krabs, wrapping him in a golden circle. Shadows deepen at the edges, thickening to the folds of night. The deck feels smaller, quieter, more intimate, as though the whole world has narrowed just for him. A soft current brushes against the hull, carrying the faintest sound of shells tumbling across the sand below. The ship shifts slightly in answer, wood groaning low and familiar. Mr. Krabs' body sways with it, not enough to wake him, but enough to remind anyone watching that he and the ship move as one, sailor and vessel bound even in rest. He exhales again, long and slow, his chest sinking. Another snore follows, rolling deep, then fading back into silence. His claws twitch faintly, dream motions reaching out into reality. Perhaps he is counting coins in his sleep, perhaps steering a wheel, or perhaps just holding on to something precious in a dream that feels more real than waking. In his dream, the sea glows brighter. A path of silver light stretches across the waves, guiding his ship forward. He follows it without hesitation, his heart calm, his mind untroubled. At the end of that path lies a great chest, not heavy with gold or jewels, but with something far lighter, peace. When he opens it, no coins spill out, no gems sparkle. Instead, it glows with warm light, a glow that spreads across the deck, across the sea, across the stars themselves. For once, Mr. Krabs does not clutch the treasure. He does not hide it away. He simply sits beside it, letting the light wash over him, and sighs with relief. Back in the stillness of the night, his face shifts faintly. The corners of his mouth turn upward, a fragile, almost childlike smile. It is fleeting, but it softens his entire expression. The lantern light catches the curve of it, making it glimmer for a moment before it fades back into stillness. The sea holds steady, guarding his rest. No wave crashes too loud, no current shifts too sharp. Even the creatures that roam the night move softly. A school of small fish pass beneath the ship, their scales flashing briefly, like a handful of coins scattered across the sand. They vanish quickly, leaving only ripples in their wake. The old wood of the ship groans again, but it is not the sound of weakness. It is the sound of memory, of age, of something that has endured. Mr. Krabs leans against the mast, his body heavy and safe, held by the strength of both dream and vessel. His breathing steadies once more, falling into a rhythm that matches the sea. Rise with the tide, fall with the retreat. Rise, fall, rise, fall. A song as old as his life, older even than the ship itself. He does not think of coins, of rivalries, of losses. In this moment, in this dream, in this rest, there is only the sea, only the stars, only the endless hush of water against wood. And so he sleeps on, deeper and deeper, his spirit carried by the dream while his body remains heavy on the deck. The night does not rush him. The sea does not wake him. He is given all the time he needs. The night grows quieter still, though it is hard to imagine it being any softer than it already was. The stars remain steady above, their light pale but persistent, their reflections glittering faintly across the water's surface. The ship rocks gently with the tide, its creaks and groans as steady as the heartbeat. And in the middle of it all, Mr. Krabs rests unmoving, his breath a calm rhythm, his body heavy in sleep. The lantern's flame is nearly gone now, a soft flicker clinging to life. It throws only the faintest light across the deck, leaving much of the ship swallowed in shadow. But even in the dark, the deck feels safe, steady, familiar. Mr. Krabs has always known the sea, always trusted its rhythm, and even now, when most would call the shadows unsettling, for him they are simply another form of home. His dreams shift again, carrying him farther. He is no longer at the helm, no longer chasing treasure across glowing seas. Instead, he finds himself on the deck of the same anchored ship, but younger, full of energy. The stars above blaze brighter in his dream than they do in waking life. He hears the sound of gulls, though no birds fly across the real night sky. He feels the ship beneath his feet, not resting but alive, brimming with a possibility. And yet, even in the dream, he does not rush. He does not scramble for coins or count the riches he has. Instead, he leans against the rail and simply looks out at the horizon. His claws rest calmly at his sides, his mind unburdened. The sea stretches endlessly before him, not as a prize to conquer, but as a companion. He breathes deeply, the salt and wind filling his chest with peace. A deep sigh escapes his real self, matching the dream. His shoulders slump further against the mast. His claws settle heavier against the wood. His snores roll low and steady, blending with the creak of the ship, until it is hard to tell where one ends and the other begins. The lantern sputters once, then steadies again. Its glow briefly catches on the small chest tucked in the corner of the deck. The keepsakes inside do not stir, but the light against them gives them a faint gleam. They are not treasure in the usual sense, not gold or gems, but they hold weight nonetheless. Perhaps that is why the chest has stayed with him all this time, because even a crab who loves riches knows there are some things worth more than coins. The sea moves gently, pressing and pulling against the hull. Each shift rocks the ship just enough to keep the rhythm alive. The tide whispers against the wood, low and soft, like words too old to be understood, but still familiar in sound. The ship answers with a groan, as though it too is part of the conversation. And Mr. Krabs, without waking, listens with his entire being, his breath syncing perfectly with the exchange. In his dream, the stars above begin to fade into soft light. The sky glows faintly, not with the harsh brightness of day, but with a gentle dawn that spreads across the horizon. Mr. Krabs watches the light grow, his eyes calm, his heart steady. He knows what it means. Another day, another tide, another chance to sail. But he does not leap forward, does not rush the moment. He stands still, letting the light come to him, welcoming it as part of the rhythm of the sea. A small smile plays across his face in the dream, and the same smile flickers faintly on his real face as well. His body remains completely relaxed, shell gleaming faintly even in the last dim light of the lantern. For once, no tension pulls at him. No worry, no counting, no guarding, only rest. The lantern flame finally gutters out. Darkness spreads fully across the deck, broken only by the starlight above. But the darkness is not heavy, it is soft, wrapping the ship in quiet protection. It is not emptiness, but fullness. The fullness of silence, of safety, of being held by the sea itself. Mr. Krabs' snores continue, deep and rhythmic. The sound of a sailor who has found peace in the night. The stars continue to shine. The tide continues to whisper. The ship continues to rock. Nothing is hurried, nothing is forced. The world moves slow, deliberate, in harmony with the sleeping crab at its center. Time drifts onward, but here on the old ship it feels still. The night does not press toward morning. It simply lingers, offering as much time as is needed. And Mr. Krabs takes it, resting deeply, held in dreams of seas that are kind, of treasures that are peace, of horizons that the night has deepened over Bikini Bottom. The streets that once shimmered faintly with the glow of windows now lie in hushed shadow, every light dimmed, every voice gone quiet. The sea itself seems to lean closer, wrapping the little town in a blanket of silence. It is not the silence of emptiness, but of fullness, a silence born from rest, from peace, from the stillness that settles when an entire place finally surrenders to sleep. The buildings, each with their odd shapes and colors, stand steady like guardians in the dark. SpongeBob's pineapple is dark now, its golden shell softened to deep amber in the faint shimmer of starlight above. Squidward's stone head remains tall and unyielding, though even it seems gentler in the hush of the late hour. Patrick's rock is unmoving, blending into the sand as though it were part of the ocean floor itself. Mr. Krabs' ship, anchored just beyond, rests with its lantern extinguished, joining the town in shadow. Even the Krusty Krab, usually alive with clatter and voices, is silent. Its doors closed, its kitchen cooled, its tables empty, but waiting. Not a single window glows now. The last lamps have been snuffed out, the last movement stilled. Each home is filled with sleepers, their breaths slow and steady, their dreams spilling quietly across the water. From the outside, the town appears frozen, but inside, the rhythm of life continues. Soft snores, gentle murmurs, the sound of blankets shifting as bodies sink deeper into slumber. Above, the stars stretch endlessly, scattered across the water's surface like coins cast by a generous hand. Their glow seeps faintly downward, painting the sand and coral with the palest of silver hues. A jellyfish or two drift lazily through the current, their bodies pulsing with soft blue light. They move as though caught in the same rhythm as the town, slow, unhurried, dreamlike. The sea around Bikini Bottom hums low and steady, the current brushing against coral, sand, and stone. Every sound is softened, every movement slowed. It is as though the ocean itself has joined the town in its rest, keeping watch while everything within sleeps. Inside SpongeBob's pineapple, the sponge is curled beneath his blanket, his arms tucked tightly around his pillow. His chest rises and falls with steady rhythm, his dreams filled with laughter and bubbles that drift harmlessly into the dark. Beside him, Gary is still, his shell faintly reflecting the starlight that slips through the window. A quiet purr escapes the snail now and then, a sound so low it is almost lost in the silence. Together they breathe in harmony, their small home filled with nothing but peace. In Squidward's house, the clarinet rests against the wall, silent now. Squidward lies in his bed, his head turned slightly to one side, his arms draped across his chest. The frown that so often creases his face during the day is smoothed out, leaving behind a calm expression. His breaths are deep, his dreams distant and slow. Even his house, tall and heavy, seems to exhale with him, its stone walls holding the quiet firmly in place. Beneath his rock, Patrick sprawls wide across the sand, his body loose, his snores rolling like a tide in miniature. The sound rumbles faintly through the water, but it does not disturb. If anything, it seems to add to the fullness of the silence, a reminder that even noise can be gentle when wrapped in the stillness of night. Out on the anchored ship, Mr. Krabs leans against the mast, fully surrendered to rest. His claws hang heavy at his sides, his hat tipped low over his face. The lantern beside him has gone out, leaving him in darkness, but his snores roll deep, blending with the creaks of the old wood and the lap of waves against the hull. For him, the sea itself has become a lullaby, steady and sure, carrying him deeper into his dreams. The rest of Bikini Bottom, too, has given itself over. Homes that hold families, creatures young and old, are filled with the same steady rhythm of sleep. Not a voice rises, not a light flickers, not a movement stirs. The town has become one great body, breathing slowly in the depths of the night. Above it all, the stars remain. They do not flicker out. They do not shift their gaze. They shine quietly, faithfully, as though they are watching over the sleepers below. Their glow does not intrude, but softens everything it touches, turning shadows gentle, turning silence full. The whole of Bikini Bottom has fallen into rest. Every creature, every home, every stone and coral and grain of sand is part of the great quiet now. The town is not empty, not forgotten. It is alive in stillness, alive in the gentle rhythm of sleep. And so the ocean night holds its small town close, rocking it in silence, whispering its lullaby, keeping its peace. The silence of Bikini Bottom is not empty, but layered, filled with small details that would go unnoticed in the bustle of the day. The coral sways gently with the current, their soft movements like the slow rocking of cradles. Tiny bubbles escape from the cracks in the seafloor, rising upward in thin trails before popping soundlessly against the water above. A hermit crab shifts within its borrowed shell, tucking itself deeper for comfort, then stills again. These are not disturbances, but part of the night's rhythm, the background music to the town's sleep. Each home seems to hum with the quiet presence of its dreamers. SpongeBob's pineapple is warm inside, even though the night outside is cool. His laughter bubbles faintly in his dreams, but his body remains still, wrapped snugly in his blanket. The soft glow of starlight slips through the window and lands across his bed, painting faint silver stripes across the quilt. Gary does not stir, but his little eyes twitch now and then as if he too is lost in a dream of wide-open fields of kelp or endless trails of sea lettuce. In Squidward's house, everything is orderly. His clarinet, polished and resting upright, is a sentinel in the corner of the room. The seashell lamp is dark, its curved frame faintly gleaming in the light that filters through the window. Squidward lies still, the corners of his mouth turned upward just slightly, so slight that only the stillness of night makes it noticeable. His chest rises and falls deeply, each breath measured, calm. Outside, the stone exterior of his home looks almost softened by the water, as though even the building itself has relaxed, joining its owner in his rest. Patrick's rock, simple and unadorned, holds him like a cradle. Inside, Patrick lies sprawled across the sand with one arm flung above his head and the other curled loosely by his side. His snores come and go in gentle waves, sometimes fading almost completely before swelling again. Though the sound might be clumsy in the day, in the night it becomes part of the background, as natural as the sound of waves against the reef. His body shifts once, slowly, his mouth opening wider, before he settles again into his deep, heavy slumber. Mr. Krabs' ship floats in the near distance, a watchtower of shadow. The mast creaks softly with each movement of the tide, and the ropes sway in the faintest arcs. Krabs himself is unmoving, as though anchored in place. His claws, so often busy with counting or clutching, hang open and loose, their edges gleaming faintly in the starlight. He does not dream of coins tonight, but of the sea itself, vast, endless, forgiving. The ship rocks him deeper, its groans and sighs steady as a lullaby. Beyond the main characters, the rest of the town sleeps as well. The young fish, curled against their parents, breathe in small, delicate puffs. Shopkeepers, their stands closed for the night, lie under their covers with their hands folded over their stomachs. Even the jellyfish of jellyfish fields, though still moving, do so slowly, their glow dimmer than in the day. The kelp forests sway like soft curtains, their shadows fall across the sand in slow-moving patterns. All of Bikini Bottom seems to breathe together, different creatures, but one rhythm. The ocean floor itself feels alive with the weight of sleep. The sand is cool and undisturbed, the shells scattered across it settled firmly. Starfish cling to the rocks, unmoving. Small schools of fish have found safe corners in coral caverns, hovering in place with their eyes closed. Even the tide moves slower, the waves gentler, as though the ocean is careful not to wake what it cradles. Above it all, the stars are constant. Their light is faint but steady, their reflections spreading across the water like endless lanterns. They seem almost protective, shining without sound, a silent chorus watching over the town. Their glow catches on rooftops, on coral tips, on the faint edges of shells. Everywhere it touches, the light does not disturb, but softens, adding to the calm. It is rare for an entire town to be this still, for every voice, every movement, every sound to fall into harmony at once. But here, in this hour, Bikini Bottom rests as one. The silence is not absence, but presence. A presence of dreams, of breaths, of peace woven through every home. The town has given itself to the night completely, with trust that the ocean will hold it until morning. And so the little homes stay quiet, and the streets remain empty. The waters drift gently around them. Time stretches, slow and soft, each second indistinguishable from the last. The town is asleep, and in its sleep it is whole. The night does not rush. It lingers, unhurried, letting the town rest without pressure. In the quiet, even the smallest details seem amplified, drawn into focus. The faint hum of water passing through coral caverns, the occasional clink of a shell shifting on the sand, the far-off sigh of a current brushing against a reef. All of it folds into the stillness, adding to the lullaby of the sea. Inside the pineapple house, SpongeBob's dreams deepen. His small smile spreads as his body sinks further into the mattress. His blanket rises and falls gently, the rhythm of someone lost in complete peace. Occasionally his lips twitch as though he is whispering something in his sleep, though the words never form clearly. Gary stirs once, antennae flicking lightly, then settles back into stillness. The little snail's breathing is so quiet that it is barely noticeable. Yet the sound fills the room with a sense of safety, of companionship. Squidward, in his tall stone home, has shifted onto his side. One arm hangs lazily off the edge of the bed, his fingers curl loosely. His clarinet, resting in the corner, seems almost to glow in the faint starlight slipping through his window. In the silence, it might almost seem as though the instrument itself is waiting patiently, content to remain unheard until morning. Squidward's chest rises and falls slowly, his breath filling the room with the steady cadence of deep rest. His dreams are quiet, untroubled. Something rare for him, but made possible by the depth of the night. Patrick, beneath his rock, rolls once onto his back, his snores changing pitch slightly. His star-shaped body sprawls across the sand in an uneven sprawl, one leg sticking up at an odd angle. Yet there is comfort in his position, comfort in his careless rest. Patrick is not a creature who worries, and his sleep shows it, heavy, deep, without pause. The rock above him is unmoving, its shadow solid and safe, a protective cover over his slumber. Mr. Krabs remains against the mast of his ship, utterly still. His claws do not twitch, his legs do not shift. The sea rocks him slowly, carefully, as if it knows that any sudden motion might disturb his rare peace. His dreams continue to drift like the tide, carrying him farther from worry, deeper into calm. The ropes sway lightly above him, their creaks blending seamlessly with the rhythm of his snores. Farther across Bikini Bottom, more lives are folded into the stillness. In one home, a family of seahorses drifts in their sleep, their tails loosely curled around one another for security. In another, a school of small fish rest in the safety of their coral cave, their fins occasionally flicking as though chasing dream currents. A jellyfish pulses faintly in its sleep-like state, its glow dim and soothing like a lantern swaying in the tide. The crusty crab stands quiet and empty. Its fryers, so loud during the day, are cold and silent. The tables sit neatly in place, their services clean and ready for the next sunrise. The sign outside hangs motionless, the sea around it still. Even the golden arches of its roof seem softened by the night, the entire building asleep in its own way. It waits patiently, unbothered by the silence, knowing its life will return with the morning. The streets of Bikini Bottom are empty, yet alive with the presence of stillness. Each grain of sand, each shell, each stone seems to hum with quiet rest. The currents that pass through are gentle, careful not to disturb. Even the creatures of the deep, those who usually roam at night, seem to move slower near the town, their shadows passing softly across the sand. It is as though the whole ocean has agreed to guard this small place in its sleep. Above, the stars burn steady. They are countless, scattered endlessly across the sky, reflected in faint glimmers on the water below. Their light is cool and kind, a constant companion for the sleepers below. One star flickers faintly, its glow pulsing slightly stronger than the rest, as though it too is breathing in time with the town. This is a kind of unity that cannot be found in the day. During the day, Bikini Bottom is loud, full of energy and clamor, each character moving to their own rhythm, colliding, clashing, bustling. But now, in the stillness of night, every home, every creature, every breath is woven together into one calm tapestry. The town becomes not many voices, but one single presence, steady and sure. Time itself seems to slow in reverence. Seconds stretch like minutes, minutes like hours, but without weight. There is no need for hurry, no demand for change. The town does not think of the morning, nor the tasks that will come. It simply is, resting, breathing, held gently in the arms of the ocean night. The town has surrendered fully to the night now. There is no sound of footsteps, no flicker of light, no shifting of shadows. All is still, yet the stillness is not empty. It is full, layered with the gentle heartbeat of sleep. The homes are steady, the water calm, the streets untouched. Bikini Bottom has become like a single body resting, each part in harmony with the others, each breath rising and falling together. SpongeBob remains curled under his blanket, his smile faint but steady. His dreams have softened, slowing down into drifting bubbles and quiet images, his body completely surrendered to rest. Gary, tucked at the edge of the bed, makes a soft, almost musical hum in his sleep, like a lullaby only he knows. Their small home is a cocoon of silence, one tiny piece of the larger stillness. In Squidward's house, the silence is different, more structured, more orderly, but no less peaceful. His clarinet stands watch over him, untouched, silent, patient. Squidward's face is calm, his breathing deep. For him, this is not the wildness of dreaming, but the purity of quiet. His rest is absolute, his body heavy against the mattress, his mind unburdened. The stone house, strong and tall, seems to exhale with him, holding the silence firmly in place. Patrick, sprawled beneath his rock, has not moved in some time. His snores roll low and steady, their rhythm as reliable as waves on the shore. His body is loose, completely unguarded, as though the world could turn upside down and he would remain asleep. The sand beneath him is cool, the rock above steady. His rest is not fragile, but solid, anchored in the simple joy of not needing to do anything at all. Mr. Krabs, out on his anchored ship, leans against the mast, his claws open and relaxed. His snores blend perfectly with the groans of the ship and the lapping of the tide. The sea carries him gently, rocking the old vessel with a mother's care. His dreams are simple and vast, not of coins or treasure chests, but of wide open seas and endless horizons. For once, the weight of worry has slipped away, and what remains is only peace. The rest of the town lies in the same rhythm. Families in small homes curled together, young fish pressed against parents, neighbors separated by walls but joined by the same tide of sleep. Even the wild creatures of the ocean, jellyfish, seahorses, tiny schools of darting fish, move slower now, their movements dreamlike, their glow dim. The kelp sways like curtains, their long shadows sweeping softly across the sand in time with the current. Above, the stars shine steady, their reflections drifting faintly across the surface. They are constant, patient, silent. Their light touches rooftops, coral tips, and grains of sand, weaving everything into the same silver tapestry. The stars ask for nothing, demand nothing. They simply watch, steady and kind, protectors of the deep night. The town itself feels alive in its slumber. It is more than buildings and streets. It is a body resting, a spirit holding itself together in silence. During the day, its characters scatter, chasing dreams, clashing, working, playing. But at night, all is unified. There is no hurry, no conflict, no distraction. Only one thing, rest. The ocean hums around Bikini Bottom, its voice low, constant, like the slow song of eternity. It does not rush the night away, does not call morning closer. It allows the stillness to last as long as it needs. The sea is endless, and so too is this moment, stretched soft and wide, a blanket wrapped across the sleeping town. Time slides past unnoticed. Minutes are indistinguishable from hours, and hours from the blink of an eye. Nothing marks the passage except the steady rhythm of breath, the soft pulse of dreams, and that is enough. The town does not need clocks now. It does not need to know when morning will arrive. It trusts the night, Trust the ocean. Trust the stars to hold it until it is ready to wake. The whole of Bikini Bottom is at rest. Every character, every family, every corner of the town has been folded into the same silence. The streets do not stir. The waves do not rise. The current does not rush. All is calm. All is safe. All is one. And so the night holds the town close, rocking it in the arms of the sea. The stars above shine as guardians. The water hums as a lullaby, and the town, in all its odd shapes and sounds, sleeps as one. The world beyond might move, the tides might shift, but here, in this moment, Bikini Bottom is whole in its slumber. The night is endless, the peace unbroken. Bikini Bottom sleeps